Hey there everyone, and welcome to another video where I go over the little mechanics in the game or interesting things. This video is going to be me mostly talking, which might make it less interesting, and I'm sorry for that reason. However, the topics which I'm going over, I know a lot of people will want to know about and will be interested in, because it may not be necessarily some things which you're thinking about. The first topic I want to talk about, there are two in this one. The second one is going to be me talking about crit block and PvP tanking in general. And PvP stats in general, in fact. The first topic, which I'm going to go through now, is about whether or not to dual wield. So dual wielding knights has always been a thing. It's been the best choice, typically, because you get that second sword, which you deal good damage with it, and it increases your damage. It increases good stats as well, attack speed, crit rating, crit damage rating. However, I looked at it more recently, and I realised actually it's not the best thing, in my opinion. So there's the dual wield skill you need to get first in order to be able to do it, and this gives you a damage increase. Now this damage increase is actually only a percentage of the damage stat on the second sword. So you see here, you've got the 2091 damage, and then you've got the plus 1326 damage on there. It will only take that base 2000 damage. So the damage on the item itself, the 1326, that bonus stat, that gets added onto your character. However, in fact, you've got that same damage boost on the shield, so it's not really relevant. It's the 2000 damage of the sword, which you get 25% of that. Which actually, 25% is only 500. It's not very much. It gets increased by your strength passive and stuff, but you'll see here. See, I've got 400 so I've got 46,632 damage when I'm using the shield. Now I put the sword on, and it goes up to 47,377. Like, it's not really that important. It's a tiny boost to your damage output. It's not really going to do anything. So the damage boost from the skill is pointless. Skill runes, that's another matter. Skill runes are very good. But anyway, looking at the two themselves then. So the damage boost, the damage difference is irrelevant. That max mana stat is not really that important. Additionally, the parry and defend rating on the shield, they're not really so important because skills are such a big factor now that actually parry, defend, and dodge, they're not really so relevant anymore. But anyway, so the other stats, the only stats we're actually looking at are the health and the armor on the shield, and then the attack speed, crit rating, crit damage rating on the sword. Now, problem is, if you've gone and read my Stats Explained guide, you'll know that actually there are caps for the attack speed, crit rating, crit damage rating. Our crit chance can't go above 80%, and so if you've got enough crit rating to get that 80% crit chance in platinum events and that kind of stuff, where you'll be facing the highest resistances, sure, in the master maps it's a different story. However, if you get to the point where you've got high enough promotion that you can crit on everything, you don't need that extra crit rating from second sword. It will give you no benefit. Additionally, there is a cap on the attack speed and the crit damage rating. So basically what happens is, as you get high promotion, you end up with high enough crit rating, crit damage rating, and attack speed to be at the cap without needing that second sword. It happens pretty quickly actually, just because to get to platinum event difficulty, you're not actually that high promotion at the time. So when you push your promotion, quite a bit higher, then you just automatically crit and all that kind of stuff. So really, those stats are giving you no benefit. So when you look at it, at this second sword, all the benefit is giving you is that 20 mana, which is pathetic, and a slight damage boost. And that's literally all it's doing, and then also the skill rune. Then you look at the shield, and you've got actually the armor and the health. Now, if we look at the armor stat here, right now I have 1.27 million. I have the sort of current up-to-date Fable gear. I've got 100 promotion. You can see 100 promotion there, and my battle wings are power level 10 or 11. So I've got a small amount of armor there. So that's the current armor, and if I equip this, you'll see it goes up by almost exactly 100,000. So I'm getting an extra 100,000 armor from wearing the shield. That's actually a very decent boost, especially when you look at it proportionally. I'm going to be tanking a lot more, taking like 10% more damage. Nearly 8% maybe. I can take 8% more damage. Additionally, I've got about 600,000 health, So this extra 45,000 or so, that's roughly, you know, an extra 7-8% health. So the two of them together, I'm tanking certainly more than 10% more than I was before, and I'm not really losing out on anything. So yeah, for PvE, I would say a shield is just better all round. Now, the problem is when you have a look at dual wield skill runes. So now these are really helpful, especially ones like Shadow Wield, Light Wield, I think Nature Wield as well. These add elemental damage onto every single basic attack you do, and then also have a chance to hit in an area. The thing is, though, you can actually trick it. So if you only need like 1 point in this, you can put 10 points in if you want. But basically, go in with 2 swords into a bit of content. I'll go into a map now. And then, as soon as you're in the map, switch to the shield. Now, every time you die, you'll need to do this. So when you're in PvP, you'll need to quickly flip the thing on. You can do it by just dragging it on, putting the shield back on, and now your skill rune is active on the dual wield. So you'll see here when I go and attack things, there's going to be the shadow damage coming in afterwards. Yeah, there we go. There's the shadow damage coming. It's a little bit laggy. Sometimes this is just the way it works. But yeah, you can see the shadow damage will come on there. So Shadow Wield is active, even though I'm using the shield. I just needed to switch out of it. So what I would recommend, absolutely, is you use the shield, and then you just flip in the sword, the second sword, for that skill rune effect. Then you've got the best of both worlds, and it's just much better. When it comes to PvP, it gets a little bit more complicated, because if you've read my Stats Explained guide, at the beginning here I talk about stat scaling. So stat scaling in PvP is basically, it's working out what crit multiplier you're going to have, what attack speed you're going to have and stuff, by looking at your stats relative to the opponent's. However, it's not completely, like if you've got half their stats, then they have max crit chance and you have half their crit chance. It's kind of pulled together a bit more. So if they've got higher crit chance, higher crit rating than you, then you're going to be critting slightly less. However, your crit chance isn't going to be like drastically lower, because then it would just mean you stand no chance. So here, when we look at how much this affects these stats, the attack speed, crit rating, crit damage rating, by removing the second sword, I won't bother looking at the numbers, showing you all the numbers, but basically, right now, with my current promotion and stuff, if promotion was higher, they would have less of an overall influence over it. But right now, it's like about 7% attack speed, crit rating, crit damage rating I'm losing on each one. So I've got 7% less of those for, like, as I was saying, about 7 or 8% more health and armor. So that 7% doesn't mean that I'm going to be having 7% lower attack speed and that kind of stuff. It means slightly less than that, because my stats are going to be scaled against other people's, and they're going to be pulled in together more. Basically, what I'm saying is you're going to have slightly lower attack speed, slightly lower crit rating, slightly lower crit damage multiplier, but not by that much, by using this shield rather than the sword. And I would argue that the health and the armor which you get from using this shield far outweighs the loss of attack damage that you get. You're going to be tanking quite a bit better, and there's not really much loss there. Now, the next thing I want to talk about in this video is other stuff to do with PvP stats. So mainly crit block I'm going to focus on. So we can get crit block from a few different places, from curios, actually I think it's just curios and guild skill. But anyway, we can get quite a lot compared to the other PvP stats, apart from armor penetration, which is slightly weaker. But anyway, basically we can get a significant amount of crit block, and in fact this helps us with tanking enormously. If you don't have any crit block, then you're going to be taking a lot more damage than you would be. So this is a little look at these numbers here, is a little look at how crits work in PvP. So your crit multiplier, the base amount, is 1.5 times, and you're going to be somewhere between 1.5 times and 8.5 times, because again, you're going to have this scaled against other people. There may be one person in there with 8.5 times. You might all be close to that, I don't know. I don't really look at that stuff. I think it's generally closer to like 5 or 6 times damage with crits. for most people when you're facing PvP, facing other people in PvP, and you're like similar-ish stats. But anyway, I can't say that for certain. So crit block, what it does is it's a minus to the crit multiplier, whatever it is calculated as at the end. So let's say you have 150 crit block. If they have a crit multiplier of 5.5 times in the PvP you're having with them, this is going to be reduced to 4 times, which is the equivalent of about 27% damage reduction to their crits. Non-crits, obviously it doesn't affect. Then the maximum, the minimum damage reduction you're going to get from 150 crit block is 18% damage reduction, which is actually huge. Considering, you could have 0 crit block if you're just not using a curio. You're just slapping on an immediate, 18% damage reduction. Then if you, have higher crit block, you have more like 200. You can actually have a maximum of 250 right now. But anyway, the minimum, if they have the maximum crit multiplier here, the minimum damage reduction you're going to get is 23.5%. And if they've got a lower crit multiplier at the time, then you're going to be reducing damage by even more. Basically, crit block can get you tanking crazily well. If you don't have it, you're going to be taking way more damage. And in fact, this can be said about PvP stats as a whole. They are very significant compared to things like attack speed, crit rating, crit damage rating, because those other stats, those general stats, are scaled against your opponents. They're not really going to influence things that much. Like, if you had way more stats, then yeah, okay, it's going to mean that you've got a higher attack speed and stuff than your opponents. But generally, our stats like that don't vary that much with the kind of people that we expect to be able to fight against. They're going to have fairly similar stats to us that then, after scaling, aren't really that significant. Where you can get the significant benefits are in these PvP stats. So crit block, like I said, it can make you tank really well. There's also tenacity and crit resistance. Now, this is my guild skills guide that I'm currently sort of redoing, and I haven't completely redone it. But anyway, I've done a little bit on crit resistance here, tenacity, crit block. Talking about kind of where you should take these skills to, how important they are in PvP. Crit resistance, it does a minus to their crit chance. So if you had 10 out of 10, the most crit chance anyone could have when attacking you is 70%. Which is actually, a huge damage reduction. Think of that on top of the crit block as well. You can tank way better than if you didn't have these stats. And in fact, this skill's pretty good. Tenacity, similarly, this reduces the duration of any special effects put on you, and it's just like, a minus in percentage-wise, so it's got a very significant impact on how long these are going to last. You also have tenacity from some other places as well, so in total you can, get a significant reduction to effects on you. Crit block, I've gone through already. I worked out that roughly 6 crit block is equivalent to 1% tenacity or 1 crit resistance, just as a little kind of, marker to kind of, so you'd have to work it out yourself. That's kind of how it is, and yeah, basically, if you have a combination of these 3 stats, you can tank way better than you would be otherwise. And then armor penetration, I worked it out, currently is about 10,000 armor penetration is the equivalent of 800 damage. So if you can, get a lot of armor penetration, it's basically like slapping on a ton of damage to your character. So yeah, PvP stats can, wrong thread. PvP stats can have a really significant impact to how good your character is for PvP. And I don't really think that many people know how much of a significant impact they have. Elemental stats, because they're not scaled or they're not reduced, they're not capped, they also have a really significant impact. Basically, when it comes to PvP, they've kind of simplified it a bit by making a lot of the normal stats kind of scale so they're not really relevant. And then things like damage, health, armor, elemental stats, and then the PvP stats are very significant. So if you can have those high, or, increase those in certain ways by changing your build, like, adding the shield in there, or like mixing your trinkets for extra armor, doing that kind of thing will significantly impact how good your character is in PvP. So anyway, I hope that's given you some food for thought, and maybe you'll have a look at what there is out there. Maybe you can slap on a bit more armor penetration, or maybe change your curio so you're using one with higher crit block. So yeah, it will really help out your tanking, and you can tank crazily well if you combine all those things. So anyway, that's where I'll leave this video. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.